We're talking tools today. What do you use? What do you not use? What can you not ever be without? She's Leslie Harris. I'm Marianne Wilburn, and you are listening to The Garden Mixer.
Ta-da, you did it. It only took 47 takes. Okay. Sorry, listeners. We break in. The music is ending. We're laughing because Marianne had to do that a few times before she got it right. A simple introduction. No big deal.
And I hadn't even had one sip of this beautiful Sunday mimosa.
Oh, I'm so
go
jealous.
figure. I'm just
I thought
already
you were going with
out-battled.
coffee. I'm doing coffee.
I know you are.
You.
You are so much more virtuous than I am, but I thought this would be listeners, we are recording on a Sunday morning, which is a little different for us. Normally we record in the evening after a long hard day when we just need to drink and gab with each other. And today is a Sunday morning and I am coming out of my normal routine, which is black coffee until probably about 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and having a mimosa. But in order to have that mimosa, I also have to have breakfast.
Or she'll
Otherwise,
get way
I'll
too
be
chatty
saying
on
some
us.
crazy stuff
Yeah,
that I will
don't
not
want
be
that.
able to apologize for.
We don't want that, Marianne. No matter what time of day you listen to this, you don't want that, Marianne. By the way, I just don't know if someday we ever talk about this or if listeners have any interest, but Marianne introduced me to this thing called intermittent fasting, which is a fancy way for saying skip breakfast and only have black coffee, which I only ever drank anyway. And it does some good things to your body. But that is not gardening, so we're not going to talk about it. But we both do it, and it's I love it. It's like I can eat some things in the afternoon that an adolescent boy probably shouldn't put down, and I don't gain any weight with this thing. It's awesome.
It's sort of weird, actually, that you're talking about it because when you cottoned on, I think we were on a trip. Were we at Dixter? I don't remember. A couple years ago.
No, you did it when you came to visit me. And I'm like,
Oh,
no
I
breakfast
see.
at
And
all? How does that work?
That's right. And I was just like, nope, I'm good. And you were like, I could never do that. Ah, you're a weirdo. And I've
Yes,
been
I
doing
did.
it for
I
a
did
couple
that.
years, and I'd had a lot of good things happen to a knee that was really starting to make me go, oh, we're gonna have problems here, Houston. So it's weird that you took it up and then went, oh wow, I love this.
I love it. I love it. We will have to, maybe we'll do one more sip on it because there's more good stuff to know if you don't want to just
we'll be
cut to the
medical
chase and-
advisors.
Yeah,
That would be a great place
absolutely
to go
great
to.
idea.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's
Can we
quickly
do a
back off of
politics
that.
one too? Okay.
Oh, sure. Everybody needs to know what we think. Let's quickly go to Clear Up Corner and start talking about gardening again a little bit. We had, the summer solstice thing, equinox, summer solstice. I know.
It's a big deal to me.
It's a big deal to you. It's not a big deal. I think people knew what I was talking about. When the sun is straight up, it's not the equinox. It's the summer solstice on that sad day that's just before Christmas. And you're like, thank God Christmas is coming because this is not a lot of sunshine. That's the winter solstice. And those other things are equinoxes. Clear?
Very clear. I just want to say to listeners, I wanted to take you up on this because a listener got in touch with me and said, hey, Leslie, said equinox, I would say. And I was all ready to come into Clear Up Corner and go, hey, you messed up. And then I listened to the podcast and hear myself saying, in the summer, right after the equinox. Like, oh my gosh. So we're basically flabby of brain, listeners. And
well, we might have missed that day in 7th grade when they made it clear to the rest of the world. Sorry.
It's just not imprinting the way it used to. But hey, we're human. And we try very hard to clear up our mistakes, which, is a damn sight better than a lot of major news outlets. So here you go.
There was something about red and yellow bark, Hutchinson's, the Salix.
That's another thing. I was telling you about a Salix that I brought you, and I said it was Hutchinson's red bark. It's not. It's Hutchinson's yellow bark.
I'm looking at this thing like that bark looks yellow to
red.
Me.
Yeah, it's Salix fragilis, and it's gorgeous. And I did actually look into whether or not it was patented, and it appears to not be patented. So we can now confirm that I propagated it. I gave it to you. You're growing
I own it, and we're not going to jail. This
and
is
we're
all
not
good.
going to jail. And actually, I have some thoughts about that. I got in contact with a professor at Oregon State University who had spoken to Better Homes and Gardens about this patent thing and sort of the ins and the outs about it, and surprising ins and outs about it. I know a fair amount, but I didn't know some of the stuff he was telling me, which means we can't actually say anything from this point onwards. We better just be stum about stuff. But should we discuss that in a one more sip for the future?
Yeah, I like to because it makes me so sad that people obviously you don't want to go make money off of somebody else's worked hard to make
No.
something. Can't do that. But just to buy one plant and then just make another little bit to share with a friend or even to have in your own yard, the rules of it are much stricter than I thought. Yeah, let's get that discussed at some point and make everybody else sad too.
Only the ones who are paid subscribers, though.
Oh,
Because
right.
that's right. Yes, because listeners, if you are a paid subscriber on Substack, you will receive the One More Sip episode, which is not available anywhere else, not even on Spotify. So, those of you who are listening right now, you're listening to our beautiful, lovely, big, bodacious free episode. But hey, we've got a lot more to say. We take one topic and really drill down on it. So go to Substack. The link is in the Spotify notes or the YouTube notes or wherever you're listening to this right now, and become a paid subscriber. It's really simple. And we have a lot of paid subscribers lately. I'm really excited about this. It's sort of like we're building a little community here of people who just want a little honesty and fun.
And it's wonderful. And just so y'all know, I mean, we are not looking to make a fortune because
No.
that's not what podcasters do. We're hopeful to give ourselves some time and have somebody help us with some of the less interesting bits of putting this all together. It is fairly time consuming, and then get out to our gardens. So that is our goal. And thank you for helping us with our goal.
Can I just say, Leslie, a couple things? First off, you look so amazingly professional right now, like you're just about to go sing somewhere.
Yeah,
Behind
I got my
Leslie,
guitar.
listeners,
Got my guitar
yeah,
back
is a
there.
gorgeous studio. She looks like she's been doing this for the last 20 years of her life, and that possibly she's a professional musician. Do you want to elaborate?
Well, I could burst into song, but that would not make that
No,
would not
don't
be
do
the right
that.
thing to do. So back when this podcast was just me and it was called Into the Garden with Leslie, I have a friend who's a professional musician. His name is product placement right there, Rusty Gear. And he is an American songwriter. He was a lawyer and a businessman for all his life, but he always has loved music. And he started writing songs about 10 years ago and he's done really well. So he gets some guys together in his over his garage. I am over his garage in a very professional sound studio. And he also goes to Nashville to record some things. He does very well, Rusty Gear. And so because we are staying with him, I said, hey, I got to set up this sound system here and, just pretend like this is my home studio. I usually do this in my guest room at home. And he said, I can help. And he helped more than I would have been able to do myself. So thank you, Rusty Gear. I'll try to, if we could link to some of his tunes in the show notes on Substack,
I think
that
that's
would
a
be
great
great.
idea. I have to
Okay.
say, looking at that, I am looking at Michael's dream man
Oh, yeah.
cave
Is
right
he a
now. Oh
musician?
yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't
This
know.
is Yeah, he would love to do that, and then he'd love to have all the people around him jamming and doing all
Oh,
that,
yeah.
so
Their jam sessions. Oh, it's big. It's great. I mean, creative. He said to me as we're going downstairs after he's helped me set up, and he said, "Isn't it great that old farts like us can have some sort of creative outlet?
and you
Me
went,
with this
"Hey, hey,
podcast."
hey, wait a
No,
minute.
I did
I'm
not. I
not an
did
old
not. He's
fart."
about 5 years older than I am, but it's cool. I mean, just never stop learning, right? All
Never
right.
stop.
So clear up corner. Anything else to clear up?
No, the equinox was really important to me, and we've sorted that. I think we have beaten that horse to death.
Yes.
I would like to just put just a quick listener testimonial from Substack, who was talking about the Bikini Ready episode. It's Mark Bauer. Thank you, Mark, for writing in. We love you guys to write in and send us to either comments at thegardenmixer.com or on the Substack app or wherever. Just send us a comment. Apple, etc. He said, such a great episode, and it's a reminder that we are our own worst critics when it comes to our gardens. And I mean, the little fun we were having there is with our bodies too. We are
Oh,
our
yeah.
own worst critics, and other people don't see what we see. And he said, "Thank you guys for, or guys, you ladies." Sorry, he was being very gender specific for keeping it real. So we're trying to, Mark. We're really trying to with it without, having too much mimosa and spilling way too much tea.
Mark had been a listener of Into the Garden with Leslie, and he was traveling for business, and he came by to see my minor road garden, my big garden in Charlottesville, just a couple months before I moved, and I was so grateful. We ran around with a glass of wine and just looked at things, and it was just so fun to share it. A couple people did that, including Mark. I really appreciated it. It was great memories of that garden.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for writing in, Mark.
yeah. Um, so back to tools. When I was, we put a ton of research into this, listeners. Maybe not really, but as I was
Oh,
taking some notes,
hours and hours.
hours and hours, but I'm like, okay, what do I do if I'm just like, you got 10 minutes? And that's one of the best pieces of gardening advice that I ever got. It was from Nanny New, Julie, Nanny's Diary on Instagram that we all love. She is the most positive person to follow on Instagram that you'll ever know, and a fabulous gardener. And I had her on the podcast a few years ago, and I just was asking her for any bits of advice. And she said, she's from Tasmania. She said, never waste your 10 minutes. I'm like, huh? And she, 10 minutes. So you just have 10 minutes. Just do something. It's not a waste of time. And so if you just have those 10 minutes and you go out there, that's a little bit more at New
You're
Zealand.
going a
She's
little
probably
South
saying,
African, I think, there, just for a
is it
moment.
10? They don't say,
10
they say
minutes.
10, 10, 10 more in Tasmania. They say 10 in New Zealand. Um, anyway, it's such a great piece of advice. And I literally now keep my hand secateurs, my hand pruners, in a kitchen drawer in case I'm not going to go down to the garage and grab them. I'll just run out this door and just do 10 minutes. And it's really fun. And the second level of, okay, I have an hour or 2 hours is those. So hand pruners are first for me, and my soil knife is second. If I have more
Oh,
than
we're
that,
gonna have words.
I know, I know. If I have more than that, I'm strapping on the belt with those two, okay? And it's kneeling pad. We can talk about that, whether you use one, because there are pros and cons to those kneeling pads, and a trug. So it's a bucket or whatever, whatever you're going to throw your bits into, the organic waste. So what are your first levels?
Before we go into mine, you wanna talk brands on your pruners?
I do. I do. And actually, I'm hopeful that I can help some people. I had always just whatever was inexpensive as an amateur garden up in Connecticut. And now I moved down to Charlottesville. I'm starting this business. I'm using hand pruners all day, every day. I begin to get arthritis such that I'm showing this to people who are watching this, my left knuckle, I'm a lefty,
She's showing us a very distorted image of her hand right now, listeners.
but it is distorted. Think twice that big. It was disgustingly huge. And a client of mine who didn't know this, but I was beginning to have to wear something on my hand and rest it. And I said, I was like, oh, I'm only 53 years old, 54 maybe, as young as Marianne, really, really
So
young.
young, just
So young.
absolutely with the morning dew on your face, yes.
Or dirt. Um, and And he said, oh, I just got these fantastic hand pruners in the mail. I love them so much. They were recommended to me. The brand name is Okatsune. Let me spell that for you. Okatsune. They are Japanese, but you can get them on
Japanese.
Amazon. They come for less, I think they're around $40. And they look so small and petite. And I think that was part of the problem. I'm pretty tall, but I have small hands. And as soon as I got those, my problem went away. So I would highly recommend those for anybody who's having trouble with the repetitive motion of hand pruners. Felco's were doing me in. I know it's a great brand. That's what you use, right?
Well, I do have some Felcos, but I have actually moved over for the most part, the ones that I want to grab are my ARS
Oh,
pruners. And those are also from Japan. Before I talk about those real quick, the Okasuni, those I know that they were using at Dixter.
oh,
Those were the
I thought
ones
they
that
were
they
all
were giving
Milwaukee
us.
people.
They had no walkies, but they also had these Okasunis, and they are just easy. And that
Mhm.
spring, they opens in your hand, and it's very, very good. I like the ARS pruners. Again, small hands. There, I think that new gardeners don't realize that there are different sizes. Felco has
Yeah.
theirs numbered. Berger, which is a German brand that I also have some of, which are very nice. Those have a small hand version, and that makes such a difference.
Uh-huh.
It's like driving a Miata instead of a XK8 Jaguar or whatever the hell they are. You
We
know,
had a
it's
Miata for 20 years. Loved it.
yeah, it's just like it's around you. It fits you, and that's what you want with your pruners. You want it to be an extension of your hand that's effortless and that you hold effortlessly, and that's worth the investment. My ARS pruners were not very expensive. And I like them. I like them a lot. And one of the things I love about them is they have a little catch so that if you press, you just give them a little press, the latch opens. So
Oh,
you don't have to flip the latch with your thumb, which is a silly little thing, but if you're doing it multiple times a day, I know that everybody's thumbs are now like huge Popeye thumbs from scrolling. They've got like their own muscle system on them, but it makes a big difference. It's just a little squeeze and it opens up and
that's
closes
nice.
again. So yeah, I really love that about the ARS. But I do have a lot of pruners sitting around, so I don't have a pair of Okasunis, but maybe at some point.
So I am absolutely true to that brand. I would have had anything available, as an amateur garden when I started the business and I switched to Okatsuni, then all of a sudden everybody tried them, everybody loved them. There were a couple people who were diehard Felco people, but I would absolutely always have the same feel in my hand. I need that same feel. I wouldn't have another one. But what about snips? So that slightly smaller version. Maybe you're just
Oh,
cutting flowers for
yeah,
outside.
that's different. And snips are so different than pruners that, or as the British and probably the Australians say, secateurs.
Yes.
The
Yes, they
Australians say
do.
that too.
Yeah,
Since you are obviously a coach on accents in Australia, you must also know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Um,
some people on my crew used to call them sekis. Sekis for secateurs.
really?
Mhm.
That's a new one. Okay.
Yeah,
So sekis, now we'd be in with everybody else. Very, very different from snips. Snips are used a lot by the floral industry because you're just cutting stems and you're trying to
right.
reach in. They're very long, very thin. They're almost tweezer-like in their dexterity. You can get in there and snip. And I use them all the time to cut vegetables, to cut flowers. They're a different animal. I like to have a pair up here and a pair down in the garden. Sometimes they get interchanged in the lettuce gathering or whatever it is I'm doing. I have a pair of Centurions, I have a pair of Coronas, and then I have a generic pair with big old oh no, it's not generic. It's a woman's work, which I really, really like. I was going to say, oh, the generic pair is actually almost my favorite. And it's actually Woman's Work, which is a terrific company, American company that has gloves and tools and all the things specifically designed for women in the garden. And so their bee gauntlets for playing with your bees, as one plays, if you're a beekeeper, like I was for so many years, their bee gauntlets fit so perfectly, whereas you're always dealing with basically small male gloves. And
Mhm.
so there's a shout out for women's work. Hashtag not an
Yeah.
ad.
Um, all right. So do you wear a belt?
Yes, I do. I
And
do.
what's on the belt?
Yeah, so I have a funny little belt. I use one that I got from Women's Work a long time ago. So, occasionally I use that a little less now because I sort of have my own do it yourself belt. I have a leather belt that I bought when I was 19 in Greece, which is really very old. And so I don't mind that it gets dirty and covered in mold sometimes. Um, and on it, I have a Milwaukee double holster, which is invaluable. So it holds both my pruners and my trowel. And I also have a knife sheath on there that I can put a knife in, because those are my three. Those are the
Oh,
three
you
things
do
I really
use a
need.
soil knife? I didn't know you
No,
used
not
a
a
soil knife.
soil knife, a knife.
Oh,
A knife. Yeah.
for dividing? What do you use the knife for?
Oh, killing rabbits usually.
Yeah, stew time.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not that cruel. I'd like to be. But I'm not. No, I use it for cutting foliage, for, when you don't want to keep doing the snipping action, you just want to do the slicing action.
Is it serrated?
No,
Huh.
it's actually a Finnish. It's a Finnish fish filleting knife. Say that 3 times fast.
No,
That I
I
came
won't
across.
do
It's
that.
like long and thin, and I can get in there. But it may soon be usurped by a new, to me, tool from Milwaukee, which is a curved, serrated blade, which, oh my goodness, does that cut the grass. Just you grab a handful and then you just go with it.
And it's gone.
Bulb foliage, it's gone. I'm loving that tool. And I bought it when I bought some Milwaukee shears, hand shears that had been recommended to me. And I just thought, oh, I'll try that. And loving that, loving it.
Great.
Again,
Yeah,
listeners, we will link to all of these different tools that we're talking about in the show notes on Substack, which can be delivered straight to your inbox.
knives are good. So it's funny to think of where I was and where I am as an amateur garden versus a professional gardener who had to stock not only my own tools but for a crew, like what is needed here. And they did generally go personal on the always ones, which were generally for all of them. Hand pruners and a soil knife. Some of them were doing trowels until they started using, including myself, and started using a soil knife and just went, "Oh, why would I ever carry a trowel now?"
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
This is like
Why?
this is a ongoing discussion with people who are soil knife cultists. I'm sorry, but you are. And
No, it's
and
just easier.
and people who have their own trowel that they love. And I, I talked to Fergus Garrett about this at Dixter 2 years ago, I think. And if we can, we will put that video on the show notes, because Andrea Gasper taped it, because
Oh, fun.
he's not a soil knife guy either. And he said that, and actually, let's just define what a soil knife is first. We're talking about a hori, right?
Yeah,
And it
that's a
is,
brand name, I believe, or maybe some people just call it that. But it's about 6 inches long. It's really nice because it has measurements for if you want to do digging for bulbs. It generally has one side that's serrated, and A.M. Leonard sells a really good one, a simple one that has a bright orange plastic handle, not easily lost, which is great. There can be very fancy ones. I prefer the simple ones. And you can work to keep them sharp, or you could just say, eh, I can dig whatever I want. I can take that straight blade and go between bricks or something that I could never do with a trowel. I can plant all my annuals. I can take away my bulb foliage. I can do everything. And I do I own a trowel still? I don't know. I suppose I must, but I don't ever use it.
do you have a hori that is offset? That the
No.
handle is offset. And by that, listeners, we mean a handle that is not in the same plane as the tool itself, as the working part of the tool. It's ergonomic, basically, so that your hand and arm does not have to be at the same angle as your tool is. Although with a hori, a lot of people use it almost like you would use a stabbing
What you want
motion
to do
into
to
the
the
ground.
rabbits. Yeah.
Yeah, basically stab them.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I can't even imagine that being my only tool. I think I'd give up gardening. I I think I wouldn't be able to cope. So, and full disclosure, I've used A.M. Leonard's. I have an A.M. Leonard's. I was given another A.M. Leonard's. I have got a nice one, a Milwaukee one that I bought a year ago or 2 years ago that I really faithfully tried to use. It has a non-serrated blade. The AM Leonard has a serrated blade. And the reason that I gave it the old college try is because, like I said, we were talking about this at Dixter. Andrea Gasper, who is the head of Digging In Association, she's the founder of that, which is Professional Container Gardener Association that stretches all over the United States. And if you're not a member and you're a professional container gardener, you want to get in with these people. They are so much fun. She said, "Oh my gosh, when we started talking about this, my crew is going to hate you. You can't not use a soil knife. That's most of them, that's what they use." Okay, so maybe I've just been using the wrong one. I'll just try another one. And nope. And then so the conversation went to Fergus Garrett, who's the head of Great Dixter, and he said he thought that the world was divided into 50% of the gardeners use soil knives and 50% do not. And you're either a hoary-hoary person or you're not a hoary-hoary person. And I definitely am not a hoary-hoary person. I even have one with a sheath. It can be on my belt and slap me
Oh,
in my butt.
yeah, no, that is how I always wear it. The 10 minutes, it's just the hand pruners. The half an hour, I just grab those two tools. But if I'm going for more than an hour, on comes the belt. And instead of the double holster, I just put on two holsters next to each other. And those are my secateurs, my hand pruners, and my soil knife. So what's funny about that is if you're running errands after work as a professional gardener and you're packing, you get some looks.
It's happened so many times to me where you just forget because it's
Yeah.
on a certain part of your body where it didn't hit you in the car, and so you didn't notice.
Yeah, like, yeah, she is carrying a 6-inch knife into the Harris teeter. Is that okay?
Now, I do think that my dislike of the hoary-hoary stems from the fact that I have an equally useful trowel that I would not be without, that I feel like you're giving me a dull steak knife to eat a steak if I'm out
Well,
in the
then we
garden.
need to hear about this. We absolutely
And
have to.
this is not a gardening tool, air quotes. It is a 4-inch Mason's trowel or archaeological trowel. And the reason that I even knew about it is because in a past life, I went to University for Archaeology. And so this was one of the first things we have. This is an offset, and we'll put all these photos online for you and in the
On the
video
YouTube
edition
version of
or
this
on the
also,
YouTube
yeah.
version. Yeah. This is an offset uh, trowel. It is triangular. It has a flat edge, which you can use for scraping. It has a very sharp point, which you can use for digging or just very carefully extracting, little fragments of bone and or potsherd, out of the soil.
Oh, is that the bone of the rabbits that you killed? I'm just checking.
Yeah, I don't bury them. I just throw them to the dogs. Wow, we're actually going to we're going to get some comments, all right, on this episode
Yes,
from
we
Peter.
are. Peter Cottontail has been thrown under the
Goddamn.
bus.
Just
Oh,
for the
God.
record, I have not physically killed any rabbits.
Just for the record, I will remain silent. I am silent right now.
I have mentally killed them, and that's
No, you're
interesting. You
not
can
picking
neither
up on this.
you can neither
Yeah,
confirm nor deny.
I cannot say, oh, neither have I.
We'll
But it
go
wasn't
into
my
that.
fault. It had to do with a dog that found a nest and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go forward.
Oh, no, my Jack Russells have. But I'm not, I have.
Well, then I had to, so I caught the dog and nature has taken his course, only he hasn't completed the deed. That's when you have to step in.
It's tough because they are precious little creatures and they are
I love
sweet.
them. They're so sweet.
And in some ways, I envy people who don't garden, who they just enjoy the wildlife. I have a friend in Cornwall who feeds the bunnies and the badgers and the foxes and all of the things. And he just has Beatrix Potter going on outside this window every morning. And he enjoys it so much, but he has no garden. And that's okay. He's all right with that. It's less work for him, right?
Yep.
But that's the reason that I didn't get a koi pond and we didn't build this big, beautiful koi pond because I don't want to hate my herons. I love my
I know, the
herons.
herons are beautiful, and when those herons I mean, we had that pond back at the other garden, and sure enough, there was death and destruction.
Yeah, I just don't wanna feel that way about the herons the same way that I feel about the deer, the same way that I feel about the rabbits. I
Yeah.
just don't wanna put that on the herons because 'cause they're just so magnificent, so no
Oh my
koi.
god, it's like a 747 landing in your yard, it's so cool.
Oh, they are, and they're just up and down the creek. It's beautiful. Anyway, where were we? Where this beautiful trowel. I get my
Yeah.
trowels from Marshalltown. Again, hashtag not an ad. Marshalltown is a company in the Midwest, and they make beautifully forged 4-inch, 3-inch, 5-inch. I find that the 4 inches is the best. It's a wooden handle. It's very, very strong, and if
So it's not a gardening tool per se, correct? It's an archaeological tool.
it's a mason's trowel, basically.
It's a
It's for
mason's
putting
trowel.
yeah, it's for, it's for smoothing, like, flat, and boy, oh boy, when I was excavating for the pond, like, doing just, like, the little final touches and scraping away, it was deja vu from 20 years ago, from being in an archaeological trench somewhere in Tortola.
By the
It
way,
was
t people, if you wanna know about Marianne's pond, go to Instagram because there's great footage of what she's done. Anyway,
all of that.
yeah.
And, I love that trowel, and I loved it even more when I did the bulb planting symposium at Dixter because we were planting at the Silk Root Garden for a day. We were planting into the lot of the rock scree and formations. We were planting bulbs in there, and you can just tuck these things in and crevice, do a little crevice gardening with this trowel. And it's not in a super expensive trowel.
I would say you could probably have the same results with a soil knife there, but I mean, it sounds great. I'm enjoying listening to this, and I'm not, I just wrote down the name of this. I might give it a go. But both of them, it sounds like both of them had that advantage of being able to go really small into tiny places. The soil knife only is about 2 inches across at the very most, so it can be very fine. It's nice.
It's just not offset, and that makes such a difference, don't you think, when a tool is
Well, for older
offset?
gardeners like yourself who might be having
You bitch.
no, I would say that, offset is probably a big advantage, which is why I wrote down the name of this. Yeah, no,
I think
I
they
think it's
actually
cool.
make horis that are offset. I'm done. I'm
Alright.
good. I've
Alright.
tried that.
Okay.
The ship has sailed. I'm there. All right, so moving past trowels, because I know that, speaking of Fergus Garrett, he loved the Sneebor trowels, and that was like a big heart-shaped trowel, and it's the
Yes.
Sneebor and the DeWitt trowels or trowels tools are Dutch made and very, very fine tools. I mean, really beautifully crafted tools. I have a DeWitt Perennial spade, which I adore. Absolutely adore it.
I wish I knew the brand of my perennial shovel, the only one that I kept. I had a garage full of tools, and I just gave them over to Abby when I gave her the business, and I kept only what I really knew I needed, and I didn't check on the name of my really awesome tiny little shovel. It's got a beautiful wooden handle that comes to a T, and the blade is only about 5 inches wide. Because I'm like, "I am not gonna be digging any more big holes in this lifetime." That is very freeing.
I wonder if it wasn't a DeWitt. I mean, that does describe my perennial. I don't know why they call it a perennial spade, but
'Cause you don't wanna be planting a tree with it, it would take you all day.
yeah, and it's something that it's this thing is only what 18 inches to 2 feet, maybe.
Oh, mine's 3 or 4 feet. Mine's you glance at it, you're
Oh,
like,
okay,
"That's a
it's a little different.
shovel."
So I have something like that too. It's the golden shovel that you kept from me for so long.
That's right, that's right.
But this little guy that I have is about, I'd say it's 20 inches, 24 inches, somewhere like that. It's something you're going to be on your knees
Yes.
it's somewhere in a bed, and you're going to be holding it with one hand up at the top of that T and the other down at the base of the shaft. And and you're using it that way to dig and to get under perennials. But I know, you could be doing it with a tree too, I suppose, but I think it's called a perennial spade. And
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
and
you're
it's a
right.
T shape, which
Okay.
brings us to another part of this whole tool thing before we get onto the bigger tools, is that T shape versus the D handle or the Y handle. The T shape is great for me for smaller tools, little ones that you're sort of using both hands on. But when you start to get into shovels or not shovel, but spades, I think, um,
Mhm.
I want that Y shape on the wood, the Y shape of the handle, because it absorbs more shock to your
Oh,
hands and
okay.
your wrists. The other one, when you knock it down into the soil, all of that knock goes straight into your wrist. Whereas the
Mm.
other one, it seems like it disperses it a little bit better. Could be my imagination, but there you go.
Yeah, could do. We did have a request. I listened to my gardeners with my crew. If they wanted a special tool, I would certainly listen to it. One of the best things they ever said was to get a scoop shovel for the many piles of mulch that we were doing instead of just shovels. A.M. Leonard again makes a wide scoop shovel. It would be like an old fashioned coal shovel, so you can get a lot done quickly. Um, but one of them, or maybe two of them, wanted one of these short little spades, shovels, perennial shovels that you were just describing. And we got them. And I think that particular gardener who moved on at the end of the season was the only one who ever used it. So there it was.
There we go. Should we tell the story of the golden shovel?
Yes, we
The golden
should. Yes,
shovel
we
of
should.
2024. So, listeners, Leslie and I were on the Chelsea UK Garden Adventure Part 1 last year. I took a lot of 20 people on with Andrea Gasper, and we went to
Just if you're
Chelsea.
not tracking, Marianne has a garden travel business called Horticultural, and this was the
That's right.
inaugural trip. And of course, I signed up because I wanted to second guess everything that she was doing. Actually, I had a
I
fabulous
think you
time.
were satisfied, weren't you? I
Oh,
mean, you're coming
yes.
along in
So
September.
I'm coming along in September to Cornwall.
You
We
went,
love
wait a
these
minute. Are you
trips.
making any money on this trip? This is amazing.
I know, this is really good.
I'm
So
so
we're at
surprised.
I know, holy cow. So we're at Chelsea and we're shopping, and you find a way
No,
to
it
get a
wasn't that
shovel.
I found it. It was that I signed up. I resubscribed to Gardens Illustrated, which is a really great magazine out of the UK. It really is a good magazine.
Beautiful,
And
yeah.
they were giving away the free gift of this little golden shovel, which is about 3 feet, I would say.
Not
And
collapsible. That's of interest in a moment.
yes, and it is golden. Not made of gold. Elephant, I think it's from Japan. And I feel like it's Milwaukee actually, or something like that. But anyway, I thought, oh yeah, I can totally put that in my suitcase. I'll be good. I've got a big suitcase. Yeah, no, I was down by about an inch. So there's Leslie Harris traveling like she's 18 years old with a duffel bag. Who knew? And she's got room. So I plied her with a gin and tonic, and she said she would take it. And then she had it for,
Well, we didn't see each other for quite a while.
yeah, we did it. It easily like what I mean, I just got it 3 weeks ago when I went to visit you.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
I think I
almost
was
been a
in
year.
possession of that for 9 months at least,
Yeah,
maybe 10, and I never used it, but I sat there thinking that I might just maybe if I got this dirty, she wouldn't mind. It looked pretty good. Is it
fantastic.
good? So have you actually used it?
Oh, yes, I have. It's one of the new favorite tools now because this is a small little shovel and those make a difference. You can just sort of
Uh-huh.
squeeze it in. It's right at the right height for me. It might not be for a 6'3" man, but for my 5'6" frame, used to be 5'7", damn degenerative disc disease. Um, just need to say that. Gardeners, take care of your spines. For me, it's just the perfect size, and it I don't know, there's something about being able to grab that that handle and grab that shaft and be able to just work it. This is becoming a very, very explicit podcast. I'm sorry.
Work it, baby. Work it with
Work,
your grab it.
yeah.
Grab it, work it. Okay.
Um,
Woo!
but I know. Whew, it's a terrific little shovel. It's really a great little shovel.
Not just a pretty golden face.
It is not just a pretty golden face, and it'd be interesting to see how long it lasts in the garden. It doesn't look like it's showing any signs of breaking, but I did have a word with my husband to say this isn't your shovel. This is not the shovel that you're looking for when you go to look for shovels,
Others,
because that
please.
man has bent digging bars, iron digging bars
He's a
with
big,
force of
strong guy.
he's a Marine, get her done. And so, yeah, my shovels never, ever come out of that well. So that's a Marianne shovel. And what other little shovels? I picked up another little shovel, which is basically a version of that small head with a very long shaft that's wooden that I picked up because I went to a plant swap 2 weeks ago. And the owner of the plant swaps was saying, "Hey, go dig these seedlings of XYZ, whatever it was, or I mean, to take home." And she handed me this shovel, and my eyes lit up like, what is that beautiful thing? This long shaft, tiny little head. And she saw it in my eyes. She goes, "And I'll be asking for this back." Oh yeah, but the
Quickly.
interesting thing was, is I was going around and I dug the couple trees seedlings I wanted, and then other people were doing the same, and I'd hand them the shovel, and "Where'd you get this?" And so,
Oh,
yeah, it was an immediate, a nice, small, you can get it into a difficult place. And so I asked her, and it was a hardware store up the road. I went in, I bought them out. There were three. I bought three, bought one for a friend, bought two. I know I'll have them forever. Again, had the talk with Michael. This is not the shovel you're ever
not
going to
for
use.
you, not for you.
Yeah.
So I had a shovel like that and I loved it. And I loved where it came from. My dad and mom ended up their last house was a cute little courtyard garden in Old Town Alexandria. And my dad had the skinniest, cutest garden shed. It was probably about a foot wide. And you'd open it up, and there were just the modicum of tools that he needed. And one of them was a long handled, tiny shovel with a green painted, you know, shovel part. And I was like, so they're moving out. My dad's passed away. My mom's moving into a place, which was the right place for her. And I got that shovel. My siblings were okay with that. I got all the tools actually. And I used that shovel for probably another year, and then it snapped and I burst into tears because I'm still missing my dad. But you
Oh.
know what? I still have it. And I use it as a scoop. And that's what you can do with shovels that break. And I'm just like, if I'm dealing with potting soil, or if if I want to hand dig out a pot that needs, we need to redo the soil there. I still have that piece. It fits in my hand beautifully. And I think of my dad. So those are great.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't think about using it as a scoop. I tend to take any tool that's broken and use it as a hose guide.
As a
Because
hose guide.
yeah, because usually, like, if it's a fork
Oh,
or
to
a
stick it so the hose won't be dragged through the garden, that type of thing?
yeah, so depending on where your points are, that when you pull a hose, it flattens whatever plants there are on that corner. Hose guides are expensive. And so you can take a tool that has broken and plunge it into the ground. And then I put a terracotta pot, a little tiny one on the top to stop the jagged edge or whatever. And it's just a cute way of repurposing and those tools, those old tools.
That's a great tip. That's
But
a
I
great
like
tip.
the soil scoop idea. That's cute. And yeah, I can envision breaking something like that and bursting into tears suddenly.
Yeah.
That's what grief does, right? It's just like
Yeah,
here
it
and then it's
just
gone.
it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
sneaky. It's like, I was having a
Sneaky
fine day
grief.
gardening and now I'm crying. But,
That's right.
I and then you think, "Well, what would dad say if he could see me now?" And then you're like, "Ah, get yourself together. It's all good."
Yeah. Pull your
Yeah.
socks up, Harris.
Um, so we're getting into the bigger ones, and because my list is so abbreviated because of where I garden now, I did not bring a big shovel with me. So picture probably one of the biggest shovels in your collection, the ones that you let Michael use. I would say it's going up to 5 feet, and it has a shovel part of it that is pointed, but it's probably 10 inches across. I mean, it's 10 by 10.
Wow.
It's big, right? And we
Yeah.
had each truck when I ran my business, we had to have those because you're digging at times some very large holes. Um, I don't have that anymore.
And do you want it?
No, I don't. I'm very happy not. Like I said, my biggest shovel is this round, very long, elongated, and I will now show a picture of it for digging perennials. But occasionally, I have bought a couple trees since I moved to my new garden, and then I'm very sad. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like using a baby spoon to eat ice cream. It's taking a long time. What is the
There
biggest shovel that you have?
The biggest one, well, the biggest one's gonna be like a snow shovel, I suppose. I stay completely away from those coal scoops or anything like that, just because I find that they don't wanna push through whatever the material is. Like, I can't scoop mulch with one of those because it's just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
hit, I'd rather use a fork to grab mulch, because if the
Okay. We
mulch
should talk
is
about those.
big enough, then it for the most part, it stays in there, or a muck, that you'd use in a stables, a muck fork,
Right.
that something
But
pronged.
so say you want to dig a big
A hole.
hole pretty fast.
Mhm.
And is that like what's your go-to? Is that a fork? Is that a big shovel? What is that?
No, that's a shovel, but it's just your standard shovel, and that is one place where I have no loyalty at all. I tend to pick those up
Neither do
from
I.
thrift stores, from yard sales. They are whatever they are until they break, and that may be because of the Marine that I live with,
Yeah.
because they are going to break, and if I put any kind of love or special attention into this one shovel, I'd burst into tears in the car in the minute it was bent or what have you. Because I have a lot of shovels that the tip is completely bent, and I mean, like, really strong ones too. He is a very large man, um, very strong.
I
Uh,
can say that if you do wanna have one that will probably stand up, maybe not to
okay,
Michael, but to
all
most
right.
use, professional use, we did go to AM Leonard on those for each truck, and we had 2 on each truck, and so you're just the biggest shovel, so shovel, pointy end, you need to plant a tree. They have a kind of a handle that's not wood and it's not plastic, or maybe it's a combination of polymer, very strong, and even, I had a couple of guys who were working for me and some very strong people, landscaper type shovel, which is probably not gonna break if that's what you need.
Gosh,
It's
it
it's a good
sounds like
investment.
you're describing a tool company that my friend Dan Scott, who works for Davy Tree, that he took me by the booth at Mid-Atlantic Trade Association, or
AM
Nursery
Leonard?
Association. No, it wasn't A.M. Leonard.
Uh,
But it was a different one, and he just said their tools are the best. And I took a
oh,
pi and I was sort of holding a couple of them and thinking, "Wow, these are pretty nice." And I haven't followed back up with that to try any of their tools. But I will put that in the show notes, because that was a real direct recommend from somebody who's been in horticulture for 25 years, and it's, not nobody's paying him to say that. So the AM Leonard tools are really good tools too.
they're very good. They're not gonna break quickly unless Michaels comes to visit your
Well,
house.
I mean, to be fair to Michael, he is using Goodwill shovels that have had, had a few.
Ah, I
Now
see.
he
So
has
they're
had a
already
few
on their
others.
2nd or 3rd life.
Some of them, like, he has managed to do that to a cobalt shovel, and again, an iron digging bar. I mean, to me, that's like, how do
Holy
you get
cow.
stronger than an iron digging bar? I don't know how to bend it back. Short of running the car over it, I have no idea. Shovels, I don't have loyalty to, but I might if I went and got one of these. There's another company also that has extremely good reviews, and I feel like it's the hers shovels. They're made for women. They're like
Oh,
a certain size. Have you heard of that company? I've had garden writer colleagues talk about them. Again, we just have to go to the show notes for this because I cannot remember. Oh, wait. I do. They have a big D handle. Hers shovel. That's what it's called. Garden Tools for
wow.
Women. HERS shovel. Garden Tools for Women. And several different sizes. It's not just like one size fits all for women, because we're all different too. I mean, Leslie is a Amazonian giant.
Statuesque. Let's go there.
Oh, beautifully statuesque.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, that's there you go. If you want some, but in terms of investing in a good tool, before we get on to like power tools and all that sort of thing.
I don't know
eh,
if we're gonna have time for that, actually.
We,
We might have to do it separate.
we have so much to say about tools. After being in this gardening lark for so many years, for an undisclosed amount of decades at this point, I realize that investing in a good tool, even though you have very, very little money to throw at it when you're younger, it does make financial sense. That penny wise, pound foolish type thing. The amount, for instance, watering wands. The amount of
Mhm.
watering $10, $14 long watering wands that I bought to stop myself from springing for a $35 watering wand, from Dram, or basically from Dram. Love Dram.
Dram does not currently sponsor us. If any of you out there works for Dram, get in
Oh,
touch.
yeah. Yeah, that's right, Jessica over at
We
Dram.
love
Come on.
Dram. Yeah,
Yeah,
come on, come on.
I adore Dram, love their tools. And you
Mhm.
know what? I had a fantastic experience with Dram this week with their customer service. And I
Oh,
did
good.
not go in with my garden writer hat on. I went in as I was just curious if I went in as just I'm a whatever, I don't do this
Gardener.
for a living and I'm just a gardener. They were fabulous. They yeah, they were fabulous. So um, I had would have bought the Dram tool a few times over if I
Yeah,
and not had the frustration of, "Oh, this damn thing's leaking again, and I'm gonna have to buy another one." I know that it's hard. It feels profligate. But if you can just put a little bit of money aside towards those tools that are gonna stay with you for decades, some of them,
yeah,
this is just my little shout out for there because I have certainly been in that situation.
yeah.
And thought, "Huh, I really want that, but, I shouldn't."
Yeah, but a few more dollars goes a long, long way
It
with tools.
does.
This is probably under the category of you're not, um, just so excited about a certain brand, but edgers, I mean, I just use a half moon, I sharpen it every once in a while. Even in my tiny garden, I edge every year. I love edging. Makes my garden bigger every year. Nobody can tell. The HOA has no idea.
Just edging here, nothing to see.
Nothing to see here that I'm taking away 4 to 6 inches of soil from this useless lawn. Anyway, uh, are you loyal to a brand of edgers? Or the same
No,
sort of with
not at
shovels?
all, and
No.
in fact,
Yeah.
ever since I've figured out, and we talked about it in a previous episode, just turning my strimmer upside down and edging with that, I'm very loyal to that.
And that's the difference between us. I use the half moon for the original winter edge, which is so satisfying because the strimmer is not gonna do what I'm doing there. And then the strimmer, does the maintenance of that edge going forward, which looks always very neat.
With the edging, you can't use a strimmer to edge areas where you have plants coming over the top of the edge. You've gotta get in there and be a little bit more clinical with that, but you can take care of a fair amount with it.
Unless they need a really good prune, and you're doing that.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Let's cut some more things up.
Besides rabbits.
Yeah, besides rabbits, we've gone through snips, we've gone through seckies, secateurs, hand pruners. What about, let's go to loppers and shears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I stuck with that same brand, Okatsune, for shears for my entire crew. And these were expensive outlays for my business.
Akasuni, have no idea how to pronounce it. I would I just
Yeah. I
I
say
started to phase out
Okatsune.
for a moment and didn't hear what the brand was, so, I'm usually trying to pay attention to anything other than you, but yeah.
That's the
Go
way you do. So Okatsune was hand pruners for the entire crew if they wanted them. If they wanted something else, they could provide that themselves. But on each truck were 2 pairs of Okatsune, and I have no idea if I'm saying that right. That is the way it is spelled. Shears, and they were good. And they were expensive, but they were worth it. They didn't break as I had the business. It'd be interesting. I might just do a follow-up with Abby to see which of the things that she inherited have held up or if she's gone to any different, brands because now she's been running LH Gardens for 4 years as Abigail Gardens. So I would love to have her take on professional, how well these things last. But, going down to my tiny garden, again, I realized I don't think I'm pruning anything. I have a saw, but
Yes, and you just reminded me that that is the other thing on my belt. I'd forgotten about that because it's
ah,
fairly new, is a little folding saw, and that is so handy.
oh, yeah.
Beyond handy, and I haven't carried one up until this last year when I did that pruning symposium and realized, oh, when you see something, you can deal with it. If you've
Mhm.
got the pruning saw on your belt and it's small, it's not this huge thing.
Yeah, it's just that it
So
takes up the space less than the space maybe of the soil knife, so I'll sort of jam it in there with it, or I'll have it nearby. Do you know a brand on your saw, on your folding saw?
I can't remember what mine is. It might be a Milwaukee. It's called a something boy, a little power boy or something like that.
But it's not a power tool, is it?
No, 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 not
Because
power boy,
I
but
think there are battery ones that jiggle back and forth, but I don't
You
think
see
we have
how
time to
brand
go to
aware
power.
we are, folks? We are just so
Yeah.
not brand aware. It's like, "This
No, we're not.
works. I don't care what the
Yeah.
brand is. Nobody's paying me."
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of what the folding saw is that I carry because it's so new to me too. I
Yeah.
haven't carried
But I
one.
would recommend Silky. I use that as a professional, and I
Okay.
kept one now, and I have it on my belt on big gardening days because it is so satisfying. "Oh, I wish I could take but I can take that away." And
Yeah.
a good pair of hand pruners or secateurs can take away something as big as an inch maybe, but then there's that other branch that you don't wanna go trundling back to your shed, and if you have that right on your belt, it's gone. It's great.
Yeah, and do yourself a favor, listeners. If you are looking at that 1 incher, that 3/4 incher, and all you've got is those really nice sectors that you just invested in, don't try and just don't bugger them up by brute force because even if you get through and the blade can be always be sharpened, you can change, you can bend the way that those
Yes.
blades hit each other by doing that kind of nonsense. So just use the right tool for the job, and that helps if it's on your belt. And
Yes, if you
because you
don't
go,
have
oh,
to.
I can't do that. All right, saw out. But if you got to go back to the shed, sometimes you're like, but I got to do it now. The kids need a sandwich, or a rabbit needs killing. So you,
So many
yeah,
jobs in the garden.
so many chops to do at any one time. Or is it the kid needs killing, the rabbit needs a sandwich? I don't remember.
Explicit
Um,
rating.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I think by the time people will hear this. Oh, no, I already did put it out. The What is a Whip short came
Oh,
out.
we've done that.
Eh,
Yeah,
yeah, and, yeah, the way you whip your children until morale improves, that one.
that's
I love that.
That's right. Worked for mine. Okay, so we did saws. We did shears. I will give a
Yeah.
brand on this because I have used a lot of different ones on this. Last year I was told by Casey Bursett of Vivint Landscaping in Chicago that she gets her whole team the Milwaukee basic garden shears. And so I went ahead and ordered a pair of those when I got back, and oh my goodness, that's what inspired the snail. I mean, the snail
Oh,
would
yeah,
not have
because you're having so
happened.
much fun
I was just
pruning,
like,
let's
"Oh,
make a
loving
shape.
this."
Yeah.
Yeah. I use I use hedge trimmers from my Ego series, and we've talked about our power tools on previous episodes. And I use an Ego series, and you use just a Black& and Decker series, don't you?
Mhm,
But when you wanna get fine, you don't want something that's too big, and you don't
mhm.
want something that's too small, and that Milwaukee Basic shears, oh my goodness, this is gonna be a long show notes. I'm gonna be in it. I'm gonna have, extra coffee to get through that writing that one. Um, but yeah, they are fantastic. All right, you may move on, Mrs. Harris.
Alright, just loppers are great for the really big branches, and again, just keep them sharp. You don't have to keep them handy. I'll get to that later, but they're excellent, but
Oh
they
my
can.
goodness, we haven't even talked about sharpening. That's so important.
Yeah, it's really important to keep them sharp. How do you keep your tools sharp in general?
Well, I use a whetstone,
Me
and I
too.
use a sharpener, and as of this last year, I started using camellia oil on them
Oh,
to clean them, and I also got Rob Flack. Gosh, we go back to Dixter so often. I know it's boring for a lot of people, but there are a
well,
lot
we learned a
of
lot.
really great horticulturists there and from all over the place, and so you get all of this fantastic information. And Rob Flack did a little sharpening seminar with us, and he had a little rubberized. It's like a little eraser with some grit in it that can take all that extra rust and stuff off before you start the sharpening process. And so I picked one of those up from Milwaukee as well. Very very handy. And the whetstone and the sharpening stone. It makes a difference. And his point with any type of secateurs or loppers was you should be able to cut a piece of paper with them to try and figure
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, are they sharp enough? Are they sharp enough? And you're touching them with your finger and thinking, can you cut a piece of paper? And if you can,
Wow.
they're sharp enough. And
Jeez.
that's what I'm going with now.
That's amazing. It can be very time consuming. You can really get into it. It does depend on your standards. I mean, you're gonna have a successful garden even if you can't cut that piece of paper. I had one gardener who was particularly loyal to the Felco brand for her hand pruners, and she would disassemble them once a week and oil them once a week. I mean, but she's
Wow.
but she, this is
That
her
is
job, and
punctilious, I will say.
yes, she was, and so she didn't wanna go to the Okatsuni because she hadn't figured out how to take them apart yet, and then I think she gradually did. I've never taken apart a pair of pruners, I'm not doing
I
that.
have, I just recently did because I had to fix a latch and I had to
Oh,
change a blade on another one, so I have done that, but
I'm
wow, once
impressed.
a week? I
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm in awe and I'm horrified at the same time. It's a good place to be.
Alright, so we haven't done it all, but we've done a good job. What do you think?
Well, one other tool that I will mention that's you might not be on people's radar is a long reach telescoping pruners, which are extra. I get minor ARS. They telescope up to probably 15 feet or so, and they have just it. They'll go up to an inch. They will take off an inch, and it's very very simple, and it allows you to get that vine that's just a little bit up there, the bittersweet that's going into the tree. Do your wisteria, whatever it is. Very very handy. I have again. This is an investment purchase and I have had mine for 15 years. So, there you go.
They're great. We went with AM Leonard on those, the pole pruners, and that is a combination of, being able to pull on something to prune, but there's a 9-inch saw at the end of it, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can get up there. Yeah, and it's unwieldy, it's no fun, but it's better than getting out a ladder if you're not an arborist, so it can be helpful in around the house or, if that's what you want. So a pole pruner, I would recommend AM Leonard. They have a good one, but that is not a fun tool to use. That means you're awkward, you're leaning, you're bending, you don't have gravity on your side. It's
Agreed. My
but
my ARS telescoping ones are very lightweight, so they're not I wouldn't say they're fun, but they're not unfun.
it's so funny because here we are talking about tools, but there's so many other tools that are like my kneeling pad or a ladder, a good ladder, or
Oh, my
uh,
orchard ladder.
your orchard ladder.
Oh
That
my gosh.
calm down, lady. I don't think we have time to start
Oh,
this.
game changer.
Anyway, I think what we've discovered here is that we have too much to say about tools, and we'll have to do a follow up for some other ones. But I hope you've enjoyed that. Damn, I wish I planted that. So it's late June. What did you wish you planted?
Well, I have planted it. I hope everybody else wants to plant it. It is
There you go.
Hydrangea quercifolia Little Honey, the oak-leafed hydrangea, very specific cultivar. It's
Is that
a
the lime green?
chartreuse. Yes, it's a chartreuse
Yes,
lime
love
green.
it.
It's a sport of another. It actually was patented, but the patent actually ran out in January of this year, believe it or not.
Let's everybody get some. Come
Yeah.
on, flare it up.
But it is a beautiful plant, hardy to zone 5. It doesn't even matter if it's blooming because the foliage is so rich and it adds so much in a partial shade location, but it's also good. You don't want to put it in too much sun, it will burn.
It will
Great
burn.
plant.
And also, I found with mine, which was in sort of half day sun, that by midsummer, it's not so, here I am, I'm lime green, I'm showing you all my best stuff. It kind of gets kind of just green by the end of the year. Is that correct?
For me, it's I have it right next to a couple other different cultivars and just straight species. So it is definitely lighter than those. It does not get that green. It is on the lime green side, but it's at its best right here at the end of June. And
That's a great plant. And and it maxes out at like 4x4 at the most, right?
yeah, somewhere in there. You have to give it a little prune, keep it a little tighter. We all
Okay.
need a little prune to keep us tighter, right?
Yes, we do. Well, my contribution to this section of the podcast is, damn, I wish I had prepared a plant because I have a little value added thing. As I'm flipping through photographs of late June for the last 5 or 6 years, all I'm seeing are beautiful hydrangeas. That's the prime. So if your garden is missing a little something, something this time of year, here are my recommendations. Ready? Basically any kind of hydrangea. Annuals, of course, are coming into their own. They're not getting tired yet. They're just like, oh, thank you for planting me. And I'm looking really lush. Echinacea is having a moment. And there are, what, Brad, how many kinds of those are there? Like
There
100?
oh,
So
oh, no, 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 way more, way
30,000,
more.
somewhere in
Oh, yeah,
between.
some insane amount.
So echinacea, and that's such a beautiful pollinator. And you just have so much fun watching the little buggies buzz all over that. Lilies, just go shopping.
So
Those are
you basically just go through your entire garden, Leslie. Wow, you really phoned it in this week. I'm so
I'm phoning
disappointed
it
in
in.
you.
But wait, no, I have two more things that are more value added, and it's not just about looks, it's how to keep things good looking. Not quite with daylilies yet. This will come in a month or so. Your irises, they had their display and now they're looking possibly a little doggy, and you don't need to have that look if you don't want that look. And just realize that the fan of an iris plant, what's really tired is the ones on the outside. And so if you just nick away the 2 or 3 on the outside, then all of a sudden what is good is not the flower anymore, but this knife-like foliage, that nice glaucous gray-green foliage, if it's a German iris. And it can look so much better. I remember visiting a woman who was thinking of hiring me, and she had to take a phone call, and I just removed some yucky things from an iris patch, which was right by where we were talking. She came back out and she said, "What did you just do?" And I said, "This is what I do. I make plants look better." So if your irises are making you sad, take away the outside foliage, and of course, just nick down those stems, and it'll be a nice fan of beautiful stuff.
That is good advice. You're reprieved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have atoned for my lack of research. Y'all just come and follow us on Instagram, The Garden Mixer, on Substack. Get those notes. Please sign up for our other, our intermittent podcast that goes every other week called One More Sip, that I think you would really like. And also, this is a gardening podcast that is on YouTube. You can see how we make fun of each other by rolling our eyes, what we're drinking, which is only black coffee for me. How sad.
She's so boring, but my mimosa is gone. And boy, this is now, the Sunday has just opened in possibilities now. I could build another pond. Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. Please review us on Apple. Rate us and review us. Just a few sentences really helps what we're doing here. And what did I miss?
You're starting to sound very needy. I'm not comfortable with it.
Just do all the things for us.
Just do all the things for
people. Because we just handed you another great podcast.
That's right. And we enjoy it. And we actually are so enjoying you. We love you getting in touch with us. So comments at gardenmixer.com or on Substack. If you're a paid subscriber, you can get involved in the chat there. And
Until next time,
be brave and be bold and be outside.
What?
My new tagline. Be brave, be bold, be outside.
We need to have a meeting about this. I don't know. I did not. I did not okay this one. Whatever. Okay, y'all. See you next time.